able to have that open conversation with your friends, loved ones? Are you able to express what is going on sexually? Whether you are in a, no, I would say even say in a jam, whether you're going through something. Sometimes, yes, we're all sexually active, but sometimes, when you're going through, do you have a support system? That is the question. Do you have a support system? Because I know, especially in African households, it's always a taboo thing. You don't really talk about sex. And then when it comes on TV, you kind of pretend you didn't see it. But like I'm saying, all of us are active now. Whether we're very active, or we're occasionally active, or we're active in a blue moon. But we still need to be able to have that open conversation. Like, what is your sexual health, not even routine, I would say, but your practice? Do you have a practice that you follow out? Or is it just kind of touch and go, Because obviously, you need to have a regular routine, right? So same way you have a regular exercise routine, you have a regular eating habit routine, you could say. You need to have a regular sexual health routine. Does that mean you're going to checkups? What does that mean to you? What does that mean for you? So I'm going to just jump straight into it, because obviously on Instagram, we were talking a while about this for the last couple of days, actually, if we're being honest. And with that, it meant that we were able to have a good conversation and actually get a lot of info in, get a lot of polls in, and see what people were thinking. So if somebody personally asked me, what does sexual health mean? I would say the way you look after your sexual health, the way you look after your sexuality, the way you look after your sexual organs. And that can be so many different things. Like I said, it could be food, it could be, nutrition. Well, food and nutrition is the same thing, isn't it? It could be exercise. It could be you getting checkups, you going to see, your sheets, your fact sheets, getting your report. You even discussing it with people, because sometimes it's healing, because you might be going through something and you didn't realize, or you don't realize, that somebody else went through the same thing or is going through the same thing. So that is it gives you clarity that it is okay. Because usually, like I was saying, in predominantly African household, you don't talk about sex. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It's a taboo kind of thing. So now that we are of age, and even everyone is getting older, and I feel like the generations are getting older quicker, if that makes sense. So those that are 15 are growing up too quickly. So you have to have this open conversation, not just brush it under the carpet and be like, okay, don't have sex. Then all of a sudden you're out, you're a full-grown adult, and then especially the family asks you, where's your partner? And you're like, okay. But then if we actually went by that guideline, I'm not gonna lie, our sexual health and sex would be terrible, because we wouldn't even know where to begin, because it's not spoken about. And if you don't speak about something, how are you supposed to know it? So with that being said, we're gonna go through the polls and some of the questions that I posed, or that we collated, and then what was said. Oops. Wow, this microphone today is doing the most. It doesn't want to stay in place. Okay, so if we're looking at Instagram, we've got 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗂𝗹. I'm assuming he's talking about sexual health and us actually talking about it. And then we have 𝗔𝗂𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍 asking me where my partner is. Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? So, let's see. So, if we're looking at the polls and we're looking at what was asked or what we've asked today, well, this week, in regards to this. I'm just going to go through, because like I said, it started 2 days ago. So I need to actually go into the archive and read out the questions, because I don't know them off the top of my head, guys. But like I said, do you guys have that open space to speak to your, like, maybe not parents, but like maybe aunties about sexual health, about your sexuality, what's going on? Because as we have to check into each other mentally and physically, I feel like sexually you have to do that too. So why are we looking at two components and not the other? The mic is interesting. Ha ha ha! Someone said the mic is interested in the sexual health discussion. Oh yeah, that's why it keeps dropping, right? So yeah, we are looking into that poll. Wait 1 second, guys, because obviously if you're able to check into your with your friend, it's like, oh, how are you doing? Obviously you're saying how you're doing overall, or how are you doing physically, how are you doing emotionally, how are you doing mentally. Why not even sexually? Because that is also a part of us. Why do we segregate that part? Why do we keep that part aside? Why do we, chop and change? I don't think it should be like that. It's a whole system. We are a whole system, so everything should be, unified. So when we are looking at the polls, I'm still pulling them up, guys. It's not as straightforward, I think. I was in archive, isn't it? So we asked throughout this day. So we started a conversation about sexual health. It was like, let's talk about sexual health because it's important, right? So we asked, how often do you go for a sexual health checkup? Yeah. Ask this, by the way, if you want to take care in future or take part in future polls, just follow me at 𝗣𝗿𝗂𝘁, so be idle. And then I always post throughout, the week what the topic is, and I like doing polls so like I get an idea of what you guys are saying. And right now we're on live as well at 𝗣𝗿𝗂𝘁, so you can hop on over there and have a look or continue listening on here. So Daniel says it's scared, I suppose. Oh, it scares, I suppose. It's intimate and private. Yes, it's intimate and private, but at the same time, isn't it something that can impact multiple people? So I feel, so how would you, if it's intimate and private, do you have at least somebody that you can go to and speak to about it? Not kind of be in your bubble and do it by yourself, like, oh, we've got the power, we do it by ourselves. Because I feel like this is not a thing that we should like do by ourselves. Right now, we are a collective, we are a community. So why is it this one thing is segregated and you have to deal with it by yourself? And I think it's even good that we even, for example, opening up conversation about mental health, whereas before it was also kind of segregated, deal with it by yourself. So it's good that we're having these conversations. So yes, going back to the poll, we had, how often do you go for a sexual checkup? Well, sexual health checkup. So the answers was, can you guess? I think this one is a bit easier to guess, so I think you could guess it. So basically 43% said after each checkup, after each new sexual encounter, or after each sexual encounter. And 57% said one in a blue moon and could be better. So obviously, like I'm saying, because we're not having these conversations, this is not in our not in our forefront of our mind. We don't think about it straight away. Okay, I had sex with this person. Let me straight away go to the clinic, or let me get kit sent to myself and do it. It's like, oh, I should, but I'm gonna leave it. So, and I feel like that leaves us in a kind of limbo space. I think it's a dangerous zone, because it's in between, like, unbothered and indecisive and like non-active, like you're just kind of in limbo. 𝗬𝗂𝘁𝗋𝗋 says, it's unconventional to bring this kind of topic up for discussion with elderly aunts or uncles. This is because your folks will start picturing you in a promiscuous way. That's funny, but I kid you not, the other time my aunt kind of pulled me aside and she started talking to me, and I was like, whoa, this is good, this is healthy, So I think certain parents or certain elders are catching on that times are changing and how things were done before cannot continue this way. And I think also we are part of that change. I mean, I remember like a couple of years back seeing like this post which was saying we are the drunk aunties and uncles now. And it is kind of true if you think about it, because obviously we're in a little bubble for so long, so we're like, yeah, we're in a bubble, we're living life, and then time goes on and you don't realize that you are actually now that auntie, you are now the uncle. So that change has to start with us, and that change cannot start with the elders if we don't speak to ourselves, if we're not speaking to each other about this. How are we going to expect the elders to come in now and chip in on how we should take care of our sexual health? They're not going to do that. We have to be honest with ourselves first, then be able to be honest with others around us or in our circle, and then it can have an effect on the elders. Like I was saying, my aunt, when she pulled me aside, I think it was a good thing, and I do feel like it had started with me because I was honest with myself first. Then in my circle, I'm honest, so I'm able to open up about sexual health. And then the end effect was like the elders are now like, oh, okay, listen, this. And then it's such a safe space where you can be like, oh, if this happened, or if this, what can I do, or what does that mean, So it's really, really important to have that open communication. 𝗓𝗲𝗃 goes, it's important to discuss these things openly. Lots of people's lives can be saved by simply having the uncomfortable conversation. Thank you, that is it. Because there's no point being, let's say, naive, or no point being indifferent about it, because it can impact people. And then whether it leaves a negative impact for the time being, just let's say by you catching an STD, or it leaves a negative impact for life where you have, or an impact for life, not negative, but like an impact for life where you have HIV now. So how do you deal with that? How are you able to have that kind of conversation? And if you're able to speak to the elders, or you're able to speak to your circle, then you can get like different experiences, because they might have not experienced it themselves, but they know people in their circle. And that's how you kind of learn. You learn through others. You learn from other people's mistakes. So when you're taking accountability and you're saying, you know what, yes, I don't want to put somebody in an uncomfortable situation, or I don't want to put somebody in that kind of predicament, and you own it, then it's obviously a different conversation you're having. So that was regarding the checkup. So the next poll was, which I'm really happy that people actually, the tribe, you guys have it down. You guys are smart. I'm happy. I am so proud of you guys. It was like, actually, like there's two polls that were 100%, and I'm so proud of you guys. So first poll was a friend, hashtag, it was like, it's a meme, hashtag, a friend of mine thinks condoms can be reused. And then the answer one was, yes, sure, I've done it before, or it's a myth. 100% of people said it's a myth, and I'm happy. 100% of people said it's a myth. We know we can't reuse condoms. You use it one time, and that's it. So then, when we carried on the poll, there was it's a few questions, there's few. So one was, why is it important to check your sexual health status? One answer was clear conscious, so to have a clear conscience, and the other answer was protect self/other. So 91% of people are getting checkups to protect themselves and others, which I think is responsible. You guys are accountable, you're responsible, so it's great. Hello Muji says hello to you. We've got BB on the beat. He's saying one is barely good for once. One is barely good for once. You mean one checkup is barely good? So I mean, to protect yourself and to protect others, you have to protect yourself, because if you're not protecting yourself, who's going to protect you? Like, let's be honest. Like, at the end of the day, what I like to say, this is a universe, right? And there's so many different people in this universe. But in the universe of you are the star of the show. So you have to take care of yourself, because if it's only you and you're not taking care of yourself and you're the star of the show, then what's going to happen? You're just going to float, kind of, and things happen to you. So, going back to the pose. Oh, there's this thing, I need to go back to the archive. So, are you even able to discuss it openly if you catch an STD? If you catch an STD or you have an STD, are you able to, openly confide in your friends or confide in your inner circle? Or is that something you would just sit there and deal with it by yourself? And I think even there's two ways. If you're somebody that deals with that kind of stuff by yourself and you're able to cope, great. But then at the same time, I do feel like it builds anxiety. It can build anxiety, and it can build other things as a result from that, because you're waiting there for your results, or you have your results and you don't know what to do, and you're just mulling the thing over and you don't know. So that's why even like when you go for checkups, usually they're like, and if one of the tests come back positive, is there anyone you can talk to? Do you have a support group? They talk about that because it is important. It goes into part of mental health, which goes to show, or shows us, that sexual health is not separate from all our other entities, our physical, mental, spiritual. Everything is intertwined. So we shouldn't chop and change a component of ourselves and just put it out and be like, okay, this component I'm not talking about. No one should talk about. It's taboo. Because if you look at society, sex is thrown at us so much, left, right, and center, that is ridiculous. Even the Corona advert for the States was so hypersexualized, like their campaign, and this was like a campaign done by WHO, was so the World Health Organization, right? And it was so sexualized. I remember someone was watching it and I could hear it at the background, and I'm like, this is an ad. It's like, yeah. It's like, but why is it so sexualized? It's like, yeah, this is the Corona ad for America, like, stay safe. And it was so sexualized, you might as well, you couldn't tell the difference. You could tell because it was over the top, but still, this is something that's going out to millions. Even kids were going to see this. So obviously, if we're sexualizing, or we're pumping society, and we're pumping everyone with sex hormones, and we're pumping everyone with, like that kind of arousal, then at the same time, we should also make sure that people are accountable and can get checked and can look after themselves and do that, and are able to do it in a safe space. Because just saying, even I remember sexual education in school, this was in year 9, they came in and like, oh, okay, this is sex ed, this is what happens, this is what you can get, this is what you can catch, no, don't do it, don't do it, this is and then they brought out actually dildos. I remember they had like a dildo, and they're like, oh, who knows how to put a condom on? And I was just like, no one, everyone was shy. It was so funny. Everyone was shy. This me, yeah, I'll do it. I just put it over. And it's like, wrong, blah blah blah. You have to hold the tip and this. And in my head, I'm just thinking, okay, cool. But then we had this whole thing, and then them showing us all the diseases and everything, and then don't have sex. But by the way, if you do, here's condoms. And then it was just like so counterintuitive. So how do you educate? And they're like, don't do it, this is horrible, this is what you can catch, this is it. But in case you do, here's a condom. And we all know condoms can break. We all know things can happen, but it's like you're literally sexualizing or hypersexualizing or amplifying this energy, and then saying don't do it, but then here in case you do, free condoms. So we've got BB on the beat saying sexualization is even in Disney, so who knew? Yes, oh my gosh, sexualization is in Disney. If you look at sometimes the way they start the cartoons, it literally starts out as a male sex organ, and you're just like and then it ends up a dwarf, and you're just like, what? Who would have thought of that? Really, who would have thought of that? So carrying on with our polls here, we go into the next one. It has a picture of, yeah, actually here. It says, would you tell your partner to go get a checkup before you start having sex? Should, but not always, or yes, 100%. Yes, 100% was 20%, and then should, but not always is 80%, which goes again to the narrative, we're not doing enough. I don't feel like we're doing enough. Because we're not having these conversations. We're not having these consultations, and because of that, it's not in our format or in the forefront of our mind. So it's like kind of like, yeah, I should tell them to get a checkup before we have sex, but do you know what I mean? So I feel like if we did have that open conversation, then, or we spoke about it more, then we would actively have it in our mind. So when it does come up, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, before we have sex, you get a checkup, I get a checkup, and let's bring up results, and then we can, you know? Not kind of like, let's do it and then hope for the best. Nah. So, the next poll was, can you get HIV if you kiss someone or share a drink from the same cup? What do you think? Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm so happy with this answer. Everyone said 100% no, and I'm so happy with that. I appreciate that. Like, the tribe is smart. The tribe is smart. You guys are smart. You guys are smart. You guys are smart. I'm so happy. So if we continue the polls, I think obviously in a little bit we're gonna have Sham, and we're going to have a conversation obviously about sexual health and what you can do and how to take care of your sexual health and what that means, and where you could go to for support. So it's not just a blah 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 session, me blah blah blahing. No, we're going to have her on in a little while, from like 110 to 2, and we're gonna have a nice conversation about that and see how we're able to look after ourselves and take care of ourselves. So BB on the beat, hello Roland Berting, photography. I trust you're well. So BB on the beat goes, I share so many joints with people. If that was true, I have everyone on the books. Oh, okay. Basically the HIV thing, like sharing HIV, or sharing a cup with somebody gives you HIV, or sharing a drink or kissing somebody. So he's saying like he shares so many joys that if it was true, that yeah, the odds are okay. Fair enough. So if we carry on, we have question: would you date somebody that is HIV positive? So a whopping 86% said no, and 14% said yes. 14% said yes. Okay, I mean, these days HIV is not as it was back then. I think I'm going to leave this question for later on, because Sham can actually speak on that a lot more. So we're going to leave that question, that poll for now, and not discuss it right now. And the rest, of the questions, I think we're going to leave for when Sham comes, the rest of the polls, because they're nice and I feel like they're really juicy, and it would be nice if we can have her input. Yeah, and you guys will, what's the word? You guys can always share your input as well. If you want to call the studio lines, you're welcome to do so. The number is 𝗍2037358820 or 𝗍2032860185. And you can drop in your input. You can drop in your input like that. Or you can also WhatsApp on 07787939958 and drop in your comment. So we have 𝗧𝗂𝘅𝘂𝗹. He says, I honestly think sexual health is really important. This is because every man and woman will feel very comfortable to get down sexually with a clean, safe, and responsible partner. Exactly. I was speaking to my friend the other day, and he was like, literally, I was like to him, you know the whole sexual health thing? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, because obviously we were talking about it, and I was like to him, yeah, obviously I get tested after every single encounter, right? And I just like to get tested just in general. It's kind of like a habit that I cultivated way back when. And then, so even if I know everything's cool, I just still go and do it. And I realized doing that now subconsciously ingrains a habit in you, and then you just continue to do it. And I was talking to him, and I was like to him, yeah, but how do you steer that conversation with someone? And he's like, listen, before we have sex, how do you feel as a man? Listen, before you have sex, you have to get checked up. And he was like, oh my gosh, I love that. I'll be so much more attracted to the person. What? If she's like, before anything happens, you're getting checked, I'm getting checked, and we're bringing the results. He's like, that's so attractive. That's super attractive. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, this is great. Because obviously, as a woman, sometimes you don't know what's going on in the guy's mind. Because you're like, listen, I'm not going to do it unless we bring our receipts, bring our health checks, everyone's clean, we all got a clean bill, cool. And whereas most women may feel like, he might not like that, and because he might not like that, it might ruin things. But if that's the case, then he wasn't meant for you, honey, anyway. So, girl, keep it stepping. If he doesn't like that, and this is important to you, and I mean sexual health, like even 𝗧𝗂𝘅𝘂𝗹 said, it's important to us to have a sexual, and isn't it more liberating to have sex when the person's clean and you're clean and it's a safe space and everything's on the table? But even if, let's say, the person has something, or like for example has something, and you're having that open conversation, it just adds value, because it's not just to say, okay, you're going to have the conversation if you're clean. Because if you have something and you're honest, it's like, listen, I have, I don't know, chlamydia, or I have, one of the other ones, like gonorrhea, or even HIV. You need to now see how you manage that. How do you manage that space? What does that mean? Does that mean no sex? Well, obviously, until they get treatment, there's no sex. But, you have to have that open conversation, because even sometimes I feel pride can hurt. Pride can be very, very hurtful, because pride can come in the way of you having the open conversation, you as a man or as a woman, having the open conversation with a man or a woman. Let's say it's the man that has it. And the woman's like, okay, listen, before we go into this, before we have sex, I want you to go get checkup, I get a checkup, and then we have sex. And then you go as a woman to have a checkup and you're clean. And then the man goes to have a checkup and he has, I don't know, let's say chlamydia. But now it's up to them two to have that open conversation. Because now he's like, okay, you know what? I went to get a checkup. Actually, I had this. And to be honest, a woman will respect you more, because you didn't put her in a predicament where things could go sour very quickly. It's like, listen, I've got this, let me get treatment, let me do this, let me sort this out, and then after, we'll speak about it. When we talk about it, we speak about it, or we rejoin or rehatch, or whatever the case is. But if you have pride and you're like, nah, I'm not supposed to get a checkup, what does that mean? It makes me more, lesser, ego comes in, it's like, like ego comes in, which is basically like edging goodness out, yeah? So it comes in, it's like, no, I'm not going to get checked up at my man, and and this is not going to happen. And then you have sex with that woman, and you had the chlamydia, and now you passed it on to her. The ramifications are tremendous, because it's not just now that woman has chlamydia now as well, but also psychologically it plays a role. Physiologically, obviously it does, because your body's going to catch it and you need to reject it, or you need to get treatment. And imagine if she doesn't even know about it until years later, or she's trying to, have kids, because she can be asymptomatic, where it doesn't show. She hasn't got no signs. Like, it's there, but it's dormant. So as you might not ever find out that you did it, but even you finding out that you were responsible for that, it's not a good thing. It's really not. It's like, and these are little things, if you don't take care of, you block your blessings. What I mean by you block your blessings, now you passed on something, let's say subconsciously. Well, it was subconscious, but let's say the woman brought up to your attention already, let's go get a checkup before we have sex. And your ego came in and is like, no, we as men, we don't do that. We as men, we're not in that position, we're not doing that. And then that ego, you run with that ego. Now, that was a conscious decision, because you didn't have to run with the ego, because you have to be like, okay, cool, I actually appreciate this woman. Let me listen what she has to say. Even if your ego flips at the beginning and is like, no, then walk away, get a breather, think about it. And if you're like, yeah, actually, I do want to get this one, then go and get the checkup. And then when you get the checkup and you clean yourself up and all of that, that in itself, like, she already helped you, or you're helping each other in this. You're supporting each other. This is a better, healthier space than going into something for quick gratification, instant gratification, and in long term, there's further ramifications. There is there's delayed. All this at the back is because essentially, if you, for example, have asymptomatic chlamydia and you don't know until, let's say, you want to have kids, you might not be able to have kids. It's super dope what you both... Wait, 1 second. Let me go back. It's super... 𝗬𝗂𝘅𝗂𝗹 says, it's super both when you both come in on a clean slate. The chemistry and bond is electric. See? Oops. See, so that is when you're in a safe space. You feel liberated. The sex is so much better. Like, let's be honest. It's like kind of like you don't have thoughts at the back of your mind. And I've spoken to a lot of friends that, like, sometimes, yeah, they have sex, but they feel guilty because they have the thought at the back of the mind. But then I feel like if you're doing that, then you're not really enjoying it, because you're not 100% present, because you're supposed to be present during sex. You're supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be thinking about, like, shopping lists, or dropping the kids to school, or picking up the dry cleaning, or, oh, yeah, I need to get that proposal info to work. Hello, 𝗧𝗿𝗂𝗏946. How do you take care of your sexual health? Does that mean do you go for checkups regularly? Do you have open, honest conversations with those around you? What do you do, 𝗧𝗿𝗂? So, like, and if you are not in the present, if you're not in the moment, that means you shouldn't really be there to begin with, isn't it? Because that is instant gratification, guys. So, instant gratification means you chop today and tomorrow you have the repercussions. Well, sometimes not tomorrow, sometimes further down the line. But it's like chop tomorrow, later have the repercussions. It's basically like a credit card. You spend today and you're paying later. That's exactly it. So, and that's the same with your health. So why not, if you're looking after yourself, like your body, and you're healthy, and you're saying, yeah, I'm looking after my health, why would you not then go and look after your sexual health? It's all part of the same thing. It's still part of your body, unless, I don't know, you might be very, very, very special, and you're able to, like, remove your sexual organs from your body, and then there's a separate piece where you can be like, yeah, I'm looking after my body, and then I'm looking after my sexual health here. If you can do that, then great. Then I guess it makes sense to do it separate. But if you are like most of us here that have one body and everything is attached together, then you should know that you need to look after your sexual health. It's important to look after your sexual health. And yeah, you know, because at the end of the day, it's only this vessel you have. How are you looking after this vessel? What are you doing with this vessel? What does it mean? The sexual health is important, and I think it needs to be taken more seriously. And most of us kind of like joke about it, or we kind of don't talk about it, but I feel like it depends also on your circle, how mature your circle is, how open your circle is, who is even in your circle. Like obviously I always assume the people that you have in your circle are the people you can discuss almost everything with. You know, these are people that will root for you no matter what. It doesn't matter if today, for example, you decide to change your sexual orientation, they will still root for you. These are the people, no matter what, they got your back. That's how I see circles. So if that's your inner circle and you've got your people there, you should be able to confide in them. And you will find most times everyone has similar stories, or everyone might have gone through stuff, maybe way back when, and like, oh yeah, actually I went through that and this is what happened with me. So you don't have to go through it by yourself. You don't have to, how would you say it? Like suffer in silence? Yeah, suffer in silence. I really have a small inner circle. It's good. That's the point. Your inner circle is supposed to be small, I feel. Like, the bigger your inner circle is, then you need to kind of, because it's so funny, because even me, growing up, I remember when I was in secondary school, and this was one birthday party, or one birthday I had, I can't remember which age it was, and I wanted to invite all my friends to cinema. And my mum was like, okay, that's cool, so we're going to pay for your friends' tickets, and then obviously they sort themselves out with popcorn and sweets. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, okay, write a list of your friends, or like tell me your friends. And I was there, blah, 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 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like counting. And my mom's like, these are not all your friends. And I'm like, yeah, they are. She's like, these are not your friends. You cannot have over 10 friends. It doesn't matter. Even like 5 friends is a lot. Like, and I was like, what? You don't know? Nah. You know how teens are anyway. So, hello to 𝗍𝗶𝘂𝗁𝗏, I think that is. 𝗍𝗶𝘂𝗁𝗏. Trust you're well. How are you today? So, and then I understand what she's talking about now, because all those people I named on this list, or I was counting, I didn't actually speak to in my life. Like, these people are not non-existent. But I understand, because parents obviously and the elders have gone through life. They've seen things. We are just sat in that one picture moment. So we're like, yes, this is it, and this is no. Like, and I think the most important thing she even taught me was, like, friends come and go. And the people that are your real friends, like, these are your inner circle people, they will stay irrespective of time, irrespective of distance, irrespective of anything. They will just stay. Yeah. Speak Swahili. Sorry, don't speak Swahili, but you can teach me. I really do want to learn Swahili, but no one's currently succeeded. All my friends are like, yeah, we'll teach you, and then we just end up speaking other languages that is not Swahili. So where are you based, 𝗍𝗶𝘂𝗁𝗏? So with that, it is important for you to look after yourself. Like we said, it's linked with your mental. It's linked with your inner being, so your spiritual side. It's linked with your physical side. Because you don't want to, you know, when somebody is, you can even see, let's say, when somebody's normally down. Like, let's say they're just not feeling the day, or something happened, or something's like playing on their mind. And you're like, oh, what's going on with you today? Like, you seem distant, or you seem not here. That's the same concept with sexual health. Because sexual health has been so isolated, because sexual health has been put in this box, and first of all, you know me, I hate boxes. Boxes don't exist. But like, it has been put in these boxes, or in this like container, so now people can't discuss it, or people feel shy to discuss it, or if people feel like open conversations are not possible. And this is where the box needs to be broken. And you should be able to sit and speak to someone. Yes, okay, you can speak to a stranger, but sometimes it's better to actually speak to somebody. Actually, that is a good question. Would you prefer speaking to somebody about your sexual health with a stranger, or would you prefer speaking to somebody you know about your sexual health? Which one do you think you would prefer? The reason I'm asking this, because obviously you've got two different elements to it, and I can speak on both, in the sense as in, if you're speaking to somebody you don't know, you can open up and talk about everything because there's no prejudgment and it's like objective. So the person doesn't know you, they only know what you're saying, they can only hear what you're saying. So this is you speaking about your sexual health to a stranger. And then you have you speaking about your sexual health to somebody you know. They can actually provide you with the best feedback because they know you, and because they know maybe of your habits, or they can point out things to you that will bring about a long-term change. Whereas the person that doesn't know you can't be like, oh, you know how every Friday night you go out and you're like, oh, blah, 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 I'm not gonna drink, but then you end up drinking, and because you're drinking, you feel a little bit frisky, and that's when you have sex. So if that person that doesn't know you, they can't make that observation about you because they don't know you. Whereas the person that knows you knows that, oh, when you have a bit too much to drink, you get a little bit freaky. So that's when you usually tend to have sex and forget, to, I don't know, wrap up or whatever it is. But so the added value, I think it could be maybe having a balance of both, speaking to somebody that you don't know, fully opening up, and then speaking to someone you do know and opening up as much as you're comfortable with and as much as that space allows. Because the more you have this conversation, the more beneficial it will be to you. Because let's be honest, most people just think, oh, okay, all I have to do is use a condom and that's it. But there's so much more to that. I mean, like, you've heard of people getting things even whilst using a condom. So what does that mean, It means sometimes the condom doesn't protect against everything. The most interesting one, like, of the polls, I think I'm going to share this one with you because, like, which was, where is it? Yeah, this one. What if you cheat on your partner and you found out you have an STD? What would you do? Wait for confrontation or have an open, honest conversation? What do you think the majority of people went for? No, honestly, wait. No, people did vote for both, and we had 11% of people will wait for the partner to come and confront them. So it's them like trying to see if they can get away with it, I guess. Or is them trying to see whether it was the partner that gave it to them? But obviously the question stipulates that you cheated and you got the STD. So obviously it's not a thing of, oh yeah, maybe you got it from the partner, but who knows? So you wait for the confrontation, and then like honest and open conversation was 89%. So a lot of people are talkers here. They know that communication is key. Communication is the key to all. So we have that, so that is great. We've got another couple of more polls which we're going to discuss once we have Sham on the line. Sham is going to come up on around 1:10. So we're going to go into a short ad break as per usual, and during that time, don't try guys not to miss me too much. Don't worry, I'll be here on the other side waiting for you guys. So with that being said, sexual health. Are you gonna have a sexual health conversation this week? I think that should be the challenge. Like this week, one person, just whether it is talking about how often you get a checkup or when the last time was when you got a checkup. Have that open conversation and see, like, It has to start with you, one step at a time. It starts a step at a time, one step at a time. So you have the open conversation, and then it progresses. It goes to, so when was the last time you had a checkup? Because I'm thinking to do one, even if it's something like that, something small like that, or even if it's like, where can I get a sexual checkup from? You know, during these Corona times. But to be fair, Jam is gonna come on in about 10 minutes, and then she's gonna tell us all where we can get our sexual health checkup done in these or during these COVID lockdown times. So I will see you guys very, very shortly. Stay tuned. And this is Outspoken Truth, and you've got Idol as your host. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy this short ad break, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. So we're off air, guys, currently, but I don't think there's much point like logging this off because you guys are still on here. But you guys can ask me questions while we have this ad break, and as I set up Sham on the line. I hope you guys are doing well. Hello, 𝗲𝗲𝘅𝗂𝗛𝗲𝗲. Where are you based? Okay. So you guys know the topic of today, yeah? Okay, let's see if we can just get Sham quickly on the line, and then we continue our conversation in about 9 minutes. Oh, lovely. How's India right now? Are you guys in lockdown in India, actually? I'm wondering. Because right now we're here in lockdown. Hello? Hi, it's Idol. So, can you send me your... can you call me on audio, just real quickly, on FaceTime, to see whether it works on here? Okay, thank you. What's that? So, yes, lockdown. So does that mean you can't leave the house? Or does that mean... because right now here in England, we have like a lockdown. You can leave the house and go to work. Non-essential shops are not open for now. But that's going to change on the 3rd. So how's India right now? Like aside from... So where in India actually are you based? That would be nice to know. Oh, guys. The 𝗟𝗲𝗁𝗟. That's interesting. That's an interesting name. Okay. Very bad of Corona. Oh, okay. I see. Little Kool-Aid. It's nice. Nighttime is lockdown.